Hello, everybody, and welcome back to What Did We Just Watch, the show where middle aged men meticulously break down movies that nobody cares about. I'm Dustin, and this is Dylan, my brother.
Hello.
And today we watched a total fever dream of a movie. Why don't you do your best and try to explain what we just watched?
It was hard to explain. So the movie's called Meet the Feebles. The best way to describe it is it's a cross between The Muppets, the movie Sing, and Team America World Police. It was it was funny. It was a chaotic mess. It was like putting Muppets in a bunch of really intense, dramatic situations, and it's funny because it's Muppets and it looks ridiculous. So
Yeah, and the crazy thing about this, it's directed by Peter Jackson, Lord of the Rings, King Kong Peter Jackson. And he actually, this was his second movie. His first three movies are like totally insane. They're very similar to this. There's Bad Taste, which is like an invasion movie, Meet the Feebles, and then Dead Alive is like a zombie movie that's like off the rails totally.
yeah,
And this is the one I've never seen out of the three, and it definitely lived because I love the other two, and this one like easily lived up to the level of the other two. So it's kind of this general story is it just follows the day in the life of these Muppets or Feebles in this case, and they're all a bunch of cracked out like horribly flawed individuals, and the fact that they're Muppets, it just makes it so much more like insane.
yeah. I mean, it's like I'm guessing this is where South Park got a lot of their inspiration because it just felt just like it, like putting Muppets in, like I said, ridiculous situations, and it's funny, and they can get away with a lot because they're using Muppets or puppets.
There's like horrible violence,
Yeah.
like sex and just like
Drugs.
drugs, and it's horrible.
Yeah.
The best way I think to go about breaking this movie down is kind of go by character.
Okay.
So I guess the main character is the porcupine.
I guess he's like the most normal character, like the stuff that all the crazy stuff happens around him. The porcupine, yeah, he's like an innocent little porcupine with like a speech impediment. He pronounces the R's wrong with W's, basically.
Yeah, he's like, my name is Wobbit the
My name
whole
is
time.
Wabba, and he would do like all sorts of things with R's. He would just pronounce it with a W instead.
The next main character is, I guess, would be the Miss Piggy character
Yeah, I mean that's what
equivalent.
she's like the star of the show, Miss Piggy. It's a hippo with an eating disorder, and she's hopelessly in love with the producer, I guess.
Which is her husband, I think,
I
or
don't. Oh, yeah, I don't know if it ever said.
And then the producer is a walrus who's like a total like scumbag, like hot shot producer, and he's like into organized crime and stuff. And then I guess the next one, which they don't really show him that much, is the rabbit.
Yeah, he was kind of like I got him as being like the old star of the show or something, or he
Kind
was
of like the Kermit the Frog
Yeah, he's
analog almost.
like a very important part of the show.
He's like a sexed out like star. And then these are the next set of characters are just like ancillary characters, but there's the rat, which is the right hand man of the producer, and he's
The rat was super funny. Like he
Yeah.
was like a scumbag.
he was like the best one. He's
Yeah.
doing all kinds of crazy stuff. And then there was a fly who was basically the paparazzi.
Yeah, the fly. Super funny too.
And then after that there's like an elephant who's just like big stupid dummy.
Yeah. We had the alligator.
A crack. Yeah.
Kind of like looked like Kermit the Frog, but he was addicted to drugs and he was a knife thrower. So
Yeah,
good combination right there.
That comes into play later.
Yeah.
And then oh man, so then there's these little like basically they're just balls of fur, and they're just like a bunch of party animals, and they're kind of like the Kenny of the movie. They just keep getting killed and like
Yeah.
replaced and stuff.
Yeah. I don't know what they were. It was like vermin or something, just kind of
Yeah.
everywhere.
And then there was the porcupine's love interest who he falls in love with. She was just like the female version of him. She was pretty innocent and new to the
Yeah.
troop. And then what else was there? There was the the Indian guy.
Oh yeah, the definitely stereotypical like Indian dude that did yoga and yeah.
So that's more or less the majority of the characters like introduced. so it follows the day in the life, and I guess as we go through this, what is just like what is like a main theme or a scene or something? The first thing that just pops in your head about this movie that's like that you liked or whatever.
I mean, just the ridiculous violence and like absurd, like just absurd things that happen. You didn't really expect it, especially coming from Muppets, and I guess that's the humor behind it. It was just putting Muppets in fucked up situations. I don't know, like that was. I think the scene that stuck out to me the most, like you said, those little like critter things that just got everywhere, and like at one point the barrel was rolling down the hallway, smashing them, and like
it's like crushes and kills them, and
the rat started eating a corpse like he just found.
Yeah, it's because the elephant guy, like he goes into his room and they're all in there. They're all partying. They're like puking and pissing and vomiting everywhere. So he kicks them out of his room, and like one of the stagehands, like the worm guy, which we forgot to introduce, but he's just like one of the nicer characters. But he like accidentally knocks a barrel down and just like runs and like crushes them all like flat bloody mess. And then like they're like they didn't really care that much, like, oh, not again type thing.
Yeah,
like these things get killed all the time.
Like it didn't matter at all.
And then the rat comes in and just starts eating. He's like, oh, that's a tasty patty or something. It's crazy. And then there's like the first thing that really pops into my head is probably the warthog, which he's like a side character. He's like he's a bad guy, like a drug dealer he's doing, because the walrus, the head producer, he's like, it's his like business associate, and he's like selling drugs to him, I guess for him to resell or maybe give to his cast or something.
Yeah, I get the impression he was like feeding it to the cast, I think.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
It didn't really explain it, but
it didn't. It was just unnecessary but funny.
they go on this golfing trip, and like it's just like the costumes are like, some of them look good, but the warthog one just looks awful, and like he's out there golfing, and what was it he every time the producer would go to putt, he would like burp or something, or what was he doing?
He was just like trying to interrupt his stroke, basically. He was like doing like loud noises or something to like interrupt his swing.
And then like like to get him back, the producer like right before he's putting, he's like vomits up like this other Muppet fish he had eaten before, and it's
I forgot about the Muppet fish.
Yeah, there's a Muppet fish who was auditioning, and he just like, the producer just like, oh, okay, I got a cavity. Would you mind looking at it? And he just like eats them. Like,
yeah.
the thing about this movie, just like, there's just like, it's kind of hard to track, and we'll probably get off track here, but there's just like so much like random violence and like, or like disgusting puke scenes.
There was like at least 20 storylines that were all going on at the same time. They would just show like little bits and pieces here and there, and it didn't really make sense at first, and then a lot of it kind of made sense more in the end, I guess. Yeah,
they paid off almost everything.
Yeah,
they're working their way up to a live performance on TV.
Yeah,
so it's like they never really explained it, but I guess at the end there was a syndication contract at stake.
Yeah,
they didn't explain that till the very end. So the whole time the other one of the other main characters is the fox, who is like the director, and so he's trying to like glue everything together while all these antics are happening. What's like another thing that just like stuck out from this movie for you?
Oh, I don't know. Just the sheer gross Muppet sex that happened in that movie.
Yeah, like there's like multiple scenes of
like one of the very first scenes is the walrus, the cat on the desk, and that's when you know the movie's going to bring a lot of humor and trouble.
Yeah, so like the walrus is dating the Miss Piggy character, but he's also banging this like other Muppet, this cat.
Side chick cat, yeah.
Side chick cat on the side. And meanwhile, they don't explain until the end, but he's like grooming her to be the new star.
Yeah.
Because the Miss Piggy analog is like gaining too much weight, and she's can't perform as well as she used to. Mm-hmm. And then like the next like sexual thing is like they're or maybe not the next one, but the next one I can think of is the rat is like has a side business where he's a producer, and like the porcupine like wanders into this like underground like where they're filming, and like it's like this cow, and it's like pretty freaking vile.
S&M stuff. Like she's getting whipped with a riding crop or something.
Yeah, and there's a bug, and the porcupine interrupts it, and then so they're all pissed off, and then they stop filming their scene, but the cow like sits on their filming partner and kills them.
And they just feed it to the random sewer monster that happened to be there.
It's just like total nonsense. And then there was later on. There's just more. There's definitely way more Muppet sex. There's
that little creep that was like spying on the rabbit having a three-way, and like he was drooling out of his nose. I think it was. Like, it was just like dripping constantly, and then that came into play. The rat had to produce a new porn with the nose sex from that little critter, whatever that was.
It's just, oh man, it's pretty. The movie's pretty vile.
It is.
But it's funny because it's puppets.
Yeah.
And then the rabbit and the rabbit stars having a three-way with like two other rabbits, and like right after that, he gets what he thinks they allude to it being AIDS, but
AIDS, yeah.
But like it was a misdiagnosis, and it ended up just being like they called it bunny pox.
Yeah, it was like they kept referring to it as the big one.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
So, and this was like right during in the middle of the AIDS pandemic, so it was like a huge thing. It was before there was like, not that there's a cure, but there's like really good treatment now. Mm-hmm. So he's thinking he's gone for, and the whole rest of the movie, he's just like
degenerating,
getting like pus sores and like turning green. It looks like it was freaking disgusting.
Meanwhile, the fly was trying to, the paparazzi fly was trying to get pictures of him, getting sicker and sicker. And
yeah, that fly was something else.
It was hilarious.
He'd always like hang around the bunny because he's trying to get the story because he's like the main star. And there's a scene where the fly first finds out that the bunny has the AIDS or whatever, and he's like in the toilet, and he's like, he has a spoon, he's like, there's like shit in the toilet, he's like spooning it up and eating it, like he's like, oh, he's like, he wants some or something like that. It's so gross.
Talking about how it didn't taste right, that there was some sort of sickness in it, basically.
Oh, that's right. And like it's like it's not like a faraway shot. They like zoom in on his face.
Yeah, like,
and it's like he's
dripping,
like,
and you could tell it looked like chili, basically, what he was eating off a spoon, like a thick chili. But
it's so gross, man.
He's asking the rabbit if he wanted some.
Man, and the whole time, and the fly also, when the porcupine first gets there, he's like, if you got any smut, let me know. Like, he's like actively seeking out like just like degenerate stories and anything that he could sell to make a profit.
Yeah.
What's something else that stuck out to you?
Oh man, there were so many things. Like, it's hard to remember every single thing that happened in that movie. There was just so much chaos.
What about the? Okay, go into the alligator or the alligators, the drug alligators backstory.
So the drug alligator. So I guess that's what we could describe him. Like, at first you just think he's like, he has a problem with something, and then you find out he's addicted to drugs. He's trying to make a deal with the rat, because I'm guessing the rat is the supplier. So that's where we first kind of run into the alligator. He's trying to make a deal with the rat man to get some more drugs.
Yeah.
But the rat man's out of drugs, and that's, I guess, part of the side story about them going golfing and getting more drugs, I guess.
But now he has the shakes.
Now he has the shakes, but he's a knife thrower, so you can see where the problem would come into play. Anyways, I think the porcupine is tasked with kind of getting the alligator back on track. And
first, when they introduced him, he's looking for drugs. But the second scene with the alligator,
he's throwing knives.
He's practicing, and there's like a girl on the spin wheel, and like he's all like, oh, and he like throws it, and like, he just like kills her.
He kills her, and like nobody even cares. It's like wheel her off the stage.
There's no reaction.
Knife into the chest and like bleeding everywhere. Yeah.
And then the porcupine messes up in like one of his other scenes, so he's tasked to help the alligator.
So he's tasked with helping the alligator, and he goes into like the alligator's room, I guess. It's all dark lit and red, and he basically, the porcupine doesn't like that the alligator does drugs, and then the alligator explained why he does drugs, and why he does drugs is because he was in Vietnam, I guess. And he was like on the verge of death, and a friend rescued him, and anyways, they were friends for a while, and then they all got captured by the, I guess, Siamese cats is what it was. I don't know what they were. They were very,
They're not politically correct.
Not politically correct, but anyways, it was cats is what I'm going to describe them as. Were the Viet Cong, and they locked them up, and there was a long montage of them getting tortured, and
they ripped off the deer hunter with the whole like Russian roulette.
Yeah, Russian roulette, and they kept adding more bullets, and eventually he shot his way out of the camp. I guess.
Yeah, but when he's escaping, like basically the friend who rescued him like falls in this pit trap.
Yeah.
And then he's like, "Help me, buddy, help me!" But they're closing in on him, so he just ditches him. So that's why he's all torn up.
Yeah, so that's why he's now addicted to drugs. Didn't really specify. He just had any drug addiction. At one point he was asking for everything.
Yeah, he does like a long list of drugs.
Didn't care.
Have you got any smack?
Smack?
Horse, liquid sky, skag, snow, coke, crack, methadone, benzodrine, pinky, sandpad, morning glory, nutmeg, blue minis, aspirin, ADOS, paracetamol, Vicks, vapor rub. Oh, you don't happen to be an asthmatic by any chance? Could I borrow your offer?
So yeah, this movie is definitely not politically correct. There's the Siamese cats who are like playing the Asian characters. There's like these snakes that are playing. I think they're supposed to be like black people in the jazz bar.
Yeah.
And then there was the Indian character who's like
it's like a
snake
contortionist.
charmer,
Yeah.
contortionist, and he like eventually gets his like head stuck up his ass. Like he's just like that for the rest of the movie. Like it doesn't make any sense.
That's what it just reminds me so much of South Park. Like he gets his head stuck in his ass and he's like talking with his head up his ass the whole time. Like, yeah.
Speaking of South Park, I would be shocked if they had in fact seen this, if this was not a huge inspiration for a lot of their work.
It has to be. Like it just feels so much like it. I mean, it was made in, what did you say, 89?
89, yeah.
Like South Park took off maybe 10 years later.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it was 97, but it didn't really take off for another year or so. But yeah. And then it's just like a South Park episode because like these characters are just way over the top and they just like extreme violence or like puking or shitting out of nowhere. Oh, what'd you think about the elephant character and his storyline?
Oh yeah, so the elephant. When you first meet the elephant, he's like in leather with a riding crop, like beating something. I don't know what that was about. But anyways, the elephant, he was just kind of just a sad sack, it seemed like, and he lived in like a hoarder's house. And when we meet him, like he kind of describes his life, and he's talking about his ex that had slept with the whole cast, and he didn't like the ex ended up getting pregnant and says that it's the elephant's baby, and he didn't believe that it was his baby. And the reason why is because she was sleeping around with the whole cast. And later on you get to meet the little elephant or the baby. It's definitely half chicken body and then elephant head.
Yeah, it's hilarious because like first of all, giant elephant, and then the woman who had the kid is a chicken, so it's like this big.
Yeah.
And then the baby is a half chicken, half elephant. Like it's just like clearly his thing. And that comes back later too.
Yeah, he definitely disowning that baby the whole time, and he was just like, yeah, not about that, not gonna own up to that being his baby.
Yeah, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So this, at some point in the movie, and like I said, it's a fever dream. The porcupine, I don't know, is that like a fox, his girlfriend, or a dog or something?
I thought it was like a dog poodle looking thing, but I don't know.
He basically kind of goes and like hits on her, and then she likes him. And then within like 10 minutes, they're engaged.
Yeah, they're engaged. That's why, like I said, everything just reminds me of South Park. It's like ridiculous, like satire of the type of movies that were around that time. They were like making fun of them, it seemed like.
Yeah, and about that time, the producer of the musical is talking with the rat, who's also producing the porn. And he's like, yeah, these aren't selling very well. We got to get a new angle. So why don't you go find someone who's like, petite. Or because like the cow was like big or supposed to be like a busty woman.
Said nobody's into like udders anymore. Like,
oh yeah,
like it was like udders that were like bound with like some sort of rubber band.
It was freaking gross,
real weird.
So the rat's like, I know just the person, and it ends up being the porcupine's girlfriend, who he also had an eye for earlier. Yeah. So it's just like. It just cuts straight to like him roofing the guy's girlfriend and like roofing her like
talking about putting her in a movie, and then he gives her
you gotta be a star, don't you?
Yeah, you could see him drop something in her drink, and
it's just so like some of it's on like a little bit too much on the nose, but it's just funny because it's with puppets.
It is. I mean, it works because of the puppets.
And then because the porcupine boyfriend had just left, and he comes back like right after the deed was done, so he sees what happens, and then he's like kind of off in a tiff, and he's like, you know, you dweek, like, and you cheated or whatever, so he like kind of dumps her.
The poor innocent porcupine walked in on the rat roofing her and having his way with her.
I think that's the majority of like the general storylines, and then where the story picks up. Where, because at the golf course, the producer and the warthog crime boss, they set up a deal where he's going to pick up the drugs later, the cocaine or whatever.
Yeah.
So the boss. Oh, I guess meanwhile the Miss Piggy character like eats way too much and like messes up one of the numbers, and they think they're gonna have to cancel the show because she walks in on the producer banging the cat again.
Yeah. So
she goes off in a tiff. And then meanwhile, the producer has to go out to this meeting. And then since the Miss Piggy character, the hippo, is like, I'm not going to do the show. She's the star, so it's not going to go on. So he goes in there and like, basically he just bangs her because that's what she wants to get the show back on.
Yeah, he bangs her real quick to get the show back on track. And I mean, the drug deal was supposed to take place at the theater, but then the little dealer brought borax instead. And like they made the little... no sex puppet snort it and he
just like melts away. He melts. And then the drug dealer goon, they just like pour it down his face, and he like also just melts away too.
But he tells them the location is going to be at the docks, and they have to go to the docks to get the drugs.
So they go and gear up, get up like machine guns and billy clubs and stuff.
Like a wall, like a secret wall. Where he presses a button, it opens up, and there's like a bunch of guns and like baseball bats,
weapons and shit.
Yeah.
They get in their car and they drive over there, and there's like the other gang is like the main guy's the warthog, but they have a bunch of crab monsters who are like the goons, and there's just like really kind of bad like I don't know like fight scene.
It was terrible. Yeah, the music was really weird during the fight scene. That's the thing that stuck out to me, and then. The big bad boss, the whale. What was it? A whale?
Well, first like they battle the crabs. Like the crabs, and like there's like horrible like stabbing violence and like chopping off heads and ripping off arms and stuff, and then they find the drugs, and they kill the warthog. I forget how they kill him.
I think they just stick a knife in him, right?
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
And then they're getting ready to leave, and then like the big boss shows up, like Dylan said. And what was that?
So at first there was a spider. The spider came out of nowhere too, and like bit the dog's head off. Like it's crazy what we're describing. But
it sounds like we didn't watch the movie like
we're just
today.
Making it up, yeah.
We watched it like 20 minutes ago.
It's just so much going on. But yeah, so a spider came out of nowhere, bit one of the. I guess he wasn't really a main character, but he bit the dog's head off, and then
he gets on top of the car and but it like rams into these low hanging crates, and its brains spray everywhere on the windshield. It's like the windshield wipers like cleaning
the brains off. And then the big bad boss comes out. It's like a whale, I guess. It's like I don't know, and they basically the main walrus bad guy tells the rat to gun it and get him basically and kill him, and they like drive right down the whale's throat and
they like drive through him like out its ass,
out its asshole.
It's all like what I love about this movie, or one of the things is like it's all practical. This is pre CGI. And it doesn't look great, but it still looks better than like a lot of like modern day expensive movies CGI crap.
It doesn't matter because it's puppets. Is what I felt. It was just like it's supposed to look stupid and ridiculous, so that's what makes it funny.
And then it's like just guts and blood everywhere. So they get the drugs, they go back, and now we're on to the finale. The show's getting ready to start, and I think soon after this we kind of find out that the syndication. No, we found out that a little bit later, but anyways, the syndication was on the line. They get back. The gator gets his drugs. Mm-hmm. Miss Piggy character's back on. She's happy because she got banged. Mm-hmm. And a bunch of other storylines are kind of like getting ready to come to a head too.
Yeah.
So the show the rabbit is like horribly like
pussed up. Yeah.
And meanwhile, the fly has already published his story.
Yes.
And on the way back, the producer, he sees. He stops and they get a newspaper and they see the story, and he's pissed off because like this is his livelihood, one of his livelihoods.
The fly had spread the story out that the rabbit was sick with rabbit AIDS or whatever it was.
And then, so, like, it's like, the producer's like, who did this? And the rat's like, I think I know who did it.
Yeah.
And then, so they get back, and they lure the fly into the bathroom. They're like,
The way they lure.
it's so funny. I think this one we're just going to cut away to it. So, check this out.
I say, everyone, who's the dirty person who did the great big stinky poo that's blocking up the toilet?
God, Trevor, must you be so disgusting?
Oh, choice. Hey, what you doing? Let me go.
You've been telling stories again, haven't you?
You got a problem with the article? Write to the editor.
That won't be necessary.
Help me.
Well, what do you know, boss? A left-wing reporter.
We can't have a biased press, can we, Trevor?
No, boss.
Now that's what I call an impartial journalist.
So now the fly is out of the picture. The next thing, Miss Piggy goes on, or whatever the version of Miss Piggy.
Miss Hippo.
Miss Hippo goes on. She crushes, because she's in such a good mood. And then this is when they get a call like, oh, their syndication deal has gone through. So she's all happy. Meanwhile, there's a couple other numbers going on, because it's like a variety show. She goes back to her boyfriend or husband's office, the walrus, to like seduce him because she wants some more. She didn't get enough earlier.
Yeah.
And then so he gets in there and she like strips down and it's like you get full hippo puppet boobs. Like it's fucking
it
awkward.
shows everything, yeah.
And she's like, oh yeah, like do me again. And he basically just goes off on her and he's like, I just need you to get this deal. Like you're out. I'm gonna get the woman, the cat woman who he was banging to like be your replacement.
Basically called her disgusting and threw her clothes at her and told her to get out.
And then so she goes crazy and she tries to kill herself by hanging herself. And she like fails because she's so heavy. She like crashes through several floorboards. And then it cuts back. What am I missing in between this? Between the next time she kills herself or tries to kill herself?
I mean, that's at least that part of the story. There's other things going on in between.
Yeah.
Other stories happening.
Oh, the elephant.
The elephant. Oh, I mean, the elephant. Well, what happened to make the elephant come out there? I don't remember. Like something happened. Oh, that was after the rabbit scene.
Oh, the rabbit comes out to do. He wants to do one last show because at this
Yeah.
point he thinks he still has AIDS. He wants to come out and do a show, and he comes out and he's just like covered in pus and sores, and he just like instantly like spray vomits everywhere, and like they go like, Daryl, get him off, and so they like he's like in this carrot that like rises up and they just like shoot it off the stage.
It's a carrot that's a rocket. He like
Yeah.
pops out of the carrot and vomits, and then they like the carrot clothes on him and it just rockets off.
They rocket blast him off the stage, and they're like, we need someone to go on, so they get the elephant, and he's like, oh, I gotta take a piss so bad. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I thought it was gonna be shit.
I thought he was gonna piss or shit all over the stage, is what I thought. But then he ends up pissing on some other characters we've never seen. Like I don't.
Well, he goes out there and the chicken comes out to confront him on live TV.
Yeah, and brings the baby, and the baby's like crawling towards him.
And he's having none of it still.
Yeah.
And then that's when he rushes off and he goes to the bathroom, and there's like it's like two women characters, but he goes in the bathroom. He's like he starts pissing. He's like spraying piss everywhere. It's like spraying all over them. It's so awkward, man.
It is.
I guess this is about the next thing you see is the rabbit, and he's off the stage. This may not be the next thing, but anyways, this next major thing. He's off the stage in his room. He gets a call, and the doctor's like, "Oh, hey, I just I misdiagnosed you. You don't have this. You don't have the AIDS or whatever. You have bunny pox.
Bunny pox. Take 2 aspirin and you'll be all right.
Yeah, you'll be all right in a few days." So he's like super happy.
Yeah.
And then I guess a little bit before this, the Miss Piggy character, she's trying to kill herself again. She's back in the office, and then she goes and grabs this M60 machine gun,
Yeah.
and she ties a string on it and she puts it in her mouth to kill herself.
With a machine gun, yeah.
And And like right before she does it, like the cat.
The cat that the producer was banging on the side walks in and like doesn't care that she's about to kill herself
And like antagonizes to do it.
Like, yeah, go ahead. The safety's on. You got to make sure and turn that safety off.
And then she snaps, and then she like gets the machine gun, turns around, and just like blasts her straight up.
Yeah, like it's full on RoboCop, like chunks flying everywhere. Everybody that gets shot by that M60.
Yeah. So then now she's on a full on rampage. She walks out. The first person she sees is the rabbit, and he's all happy because he's like, oh, I don't have like AIDS basically. He's like, yeah, and then she just says, boom, 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 like blows his head off and it explodes everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And then now it's just like this giant. They keep cutting back between what's going on the stage, and what's in her rampage. She's just going down like mowing down anybody she sees.
Yeah, every character that you've met, like all the side characters that never had a line, they're all getting like shot up and blasted.
And like Dylan said, every time they get shot, like chunks explode out.
It's like chunks. Meanwhile, on the stage, like there's just a bunch of chaos happening. Like the Fox director guy, like he decides, like because during the whole machine gun montage, the Fox thinks he has to save the show, and he's been preparing this whole little musical number the whole time, and the producer won't let him do it, and finally he just says fuck it, and he gets on stage and he does his little musical number where he's tap dancing and singing about anal sex. Basically.
Yeah, there's like a bunch of like dick pillars and balls and like I guess like balls like floating up.
So while Miss Piggy is shooting everybody, the anal sex song is playing, something about sodomy. I don't remember what the lyrics were.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. You can imagine.
It was just pure ridiculous. It sounds like we're not even describing a movie. It sounds like we're describing like an acid trip or something.
Yeah, like a total fever dream.
Yeah.
But she's like blasting, and she's like killing off main characters. She's just like mowing them down left and right. Mm-hmm. And finally, at some point the knife thrower gets paid off. What happens with him again?
So he gets his drug fix. He passes out in the bathroom. The rat character has to like drag him out to do his part of the show where he's gonna throw knives.
Yes.
Yeah, the porcupine had to fill in for to be having knives thrown at him. Yeah, and then
he starts like because he's all tripping balls because meanwhile he had already like been like shooting up drugs.
Yeah, he just
intravenously.
Shot up drugs.
And so he's like throwing knives, and all of a sudden he starts hallucinating. He sees the porcupine as a Charlie cat.
Yeah, the Charlie cat.
So he's like literally trying to kill him, and then he trips or stumbles, and
he trips, and the knife goes straight up into the air.
Boom!
Right,
it's like kills
on the top of the head, and just blood sprays everywhere. Yeah.
It's such a South Park thing. Like it's so much. And now the rampage is coming to a head. She makes it to the stage. She's like killing like super main characters off, and she at one point she targets the porcupine's girlfriend and getting ready to shoot him.
Yeah.
And the porcupine like he swings in to save the day and like picks her up and puts her on these like lights that are hanging up. Mm-hmm. And then the rat comes in, and we might be getting this wrong, so we might just show the scene, but.
So I think she shoots the elephant like in the knees.
Oh yeah, blows his knees out because the chicken brings the baby.
So the chicken brings the baby. Miss Piggy's on a rampage. She shoots the chicken.
Blows her head off.
Then the elephant finally is like, oh no, I need to save this kid, and he like runs towards the little baby, and Miss Piggy shoots his knees out and
like explodes him out.
Yeah. He falls near the baby, and he saves the baby. It's a happy ending for him, and that's when that whole like showdown with the last boss, basically the rat and the walrus. So the walrus is trying to trick Miss Piggy character and say that he loves her still and wants her to drop the gun, and then right after she drops the gun, the rat comes from behind with a double barrel shotgun and shoots her.
Shoots her in the arm or something.
Yeah, shoots her in the arm, and then he's like, finish her off. Like telling the rat to kill her. And
she then picks up she picks up the machine gun and blows the rat away at that point.
Somebody kills the rat. I don't even remember.
I think it was her. I think she he gets bad. Like she shoots like up his body with the machine gun.
He explodes into chunks.
And then like the producer Walrus guy is still trying to like trick her or whatever. Yeah. And you think for a second that maybe, but of course she's not. And she like blows him away.
Like shoves the machine gun in his mouth and shoots out the back of his head.
Yeah, like a lot. She's like like his brain's like spraying out. And then she gets incapacitated somehow. What, I can't remember what stops her rampage.
She doesn't die. I don't remember. I think she just stops at that point. But
and that's more or less the end of like the rampage and the end of the final act. And it ends like on a happy note with the porcupine getting his girlfriend like forgiving her, because she then explains like, "Oh, I was drugged."
Yeah, the rat doped me up basically.
All the bad guys get it. Miss Piggy survives. Who else survives? The elephant.
The elephant and the baby.
The baby.
And the porcupine and his little love interest dog, and then
maybe somebody else.
The little worm guy survived, didn't he?
Oh yeah, and it's funny. There's at the end they do like right before the credits they do the flash scenes like with it like freeze frames, and it shows like what they're up to now, and it's like the what was the first one? It was the elephant.
The elephant.
He runs like he's like a florist now or something.
Yeah. That's what it reminds. Like, keep referring back to South Park. Just the ridiculous of that. Like he's now a florist and raising the baby,
and then the porcupine is married and they have kids, and he's like a
photographer or something.
A woman's fashion photographer or something. Like it's insane. And then the Miss Piggy character like served 10 years, only 10 years for like killing like 40 like people.
Yeah.
And now she just works at a grocery store.
Yeah, I guess you don't really see any physical like human people in this. The people are the Muppets. I think. So yeah.
It's the movie's crazy.
It is.
And that's basically the movie in a nutshell. I'm sure we missed some like ridiculous scenes because there's like 70 ridiculous parts of this movie.
There were so many things that I laughed at like hysterically, and I can't even remember them because there's just that many of them. Like chaos.
Maybe I'll do a super clip of all the ridiculous things. It was just insane. So, having just seen the movie for the first time, it was someone with similar taste to us. Would you recommend this movie?
Yes, for sure. Like at first, when I first started watching this movie, like, what the hell are we watching? This is gonna be dumb. It's gonna be boring. And then like it just kind of picks up and keeps picking up speed, and like it's just like pure chaos, violence, sex, and just like grossness. But it's all funny because it's puppets.
It's totally played for laughs.
Yeah.
I too would recommend this movie. It's not something you can watch all the time. It's along the lines of Ricky O, where maybe like once a decade is good, but or to show somebody who hasn't seen it, who likes ridiculous movies. It's very fun, and you could tell they just had so much fun making this.
I think the fun would be showing this to somebody that has a similar taste in movies and just watching their face while they're watching this movie. That's where you're going to get a lot of replay value on this movie. I probably won't watch it again by myself, but
watch it with a group.
Yeah.
It's fun. Like, I would definitely check it out if you're interested. And if you do check it out and watch this, which we will eventually review the Bad Taste, which was his first one, Peter Jackson's first one, and then the classic, absolute classic, is Dead Alive or Brain Dead if you're not from the U.S. Brain Dead, as good as this one is, Brain Dead's probably 5 times better. That movie is utterly insane.
I haven't seen that one in a long time, but I remember it being about the same line of ridiculousness as this movie was. So
yeah, and Bad Taste is good, but it was his first, so this one is probably about 3 or 4 times better than that. Mm-hmm. So, anyways, you have anything else you want to add?
No, I think we hit all the chaos.
All that we could. So, anyways, thanks for watching, and see you guys next time.